Hey guys, it's EJ Sparrow back for another round today in our series on GamerGate. Now, I want to admit that I originally came into this planning on giving daily updates on the happenings in the movement, and while that is definitely a part of what I'm doing, it's become something of a general critique of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what we should be doing. I've said before that we're a loose collective. This is ostensibly the best way to describe us. While it's true we've received some support from some people with clout, such as actor Adam Baldwin from Firefly, Chuck, and TNT's The Last Ship, notable feminist scholar Christina Hoff Sommers, who I'm personally a big fan of, even from before Gamergate, and game developer Daniel Vavra, creator of the Mafia series. The signal boost the movement has gained from these three alone have served to bring increased clarity and support for the movement itself. Operation Disrespectful Nod gets points for probably being the most organized group within Gamergate. While it's all well and good that we're signal boosting the hashtag on Twitter and other social media, the fact remains that there is more we could be doing to boost awareness. Yesterday, Cracked published an article written by Zoe Quinn, who claims she is the most hated person on the internet. While there is little doubt that she has received harassment, that does not mean in the least that harassing her is any sort of goal in this movement. So for those of you who might be addressing her on Twitter or other social media, please don't. You're only feeding the propaganda against us. Anita Sarkeesian, however, is a slightly different matter. As I stated in the last episode, Anita is a satellite issue related to Gamergate. If integrity is our Jupiter, Anita is our Io. What this means is that she should only be addressed if and when she makes statements that can be critiqued. This means, quite plainly, do not insult her. Do not threaten her, but require her to back up her statements with empirical evidence. Listen and believe is nonsense in the truest form of the word. The world is not so cut and dry. Doubting somebody's claims is not harassment. But do you know what it is harassment, though? An organized campaign to flag a Twitter account for one of her most vocal critics. Over the past day or two, Thunderfoot, a YouTuber, scientist, and vocal critic of Sarkeesian, has had his Twitter account flagged and suspended. Why? Honestly, we don't know. There's a theory that Sarkeesian was behind it, but unfortunately that can't be verified. And as I've said before, unless it can be verified, we shouldn't be repeating it as truth. I think it's more likely that Sarkeesian herself had nothing to do with it. But as many of us have been on the receiving end of her army of supporters, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to believe that they may have started a campaign against him. Now, I've been a follower of Thunderfoot since well before Gamergate broke out. I've found his videos to be informative, his rhetoric fairly on the level, and his sarcastic way of addressing things to be just what the doctor ordered in many cases. I've never seen him threaten anyone, and I've never seen him outright insult anyone personally. The only times I've ever heard him utter the word stupid have been in reference to ideas put across by Sarkeesian and others. But I've never once heard him call them stupid personally. So, for those of you who might have been behind the flagging of his account, I have something to say to you. Thank you. Your knee-jerk reactions are helping us more than you know. It's just not the way you think. The Streisand effect is taking over. The suspension of Thunderfoot's account has made waves, drawing people in to support him. It's drawing in more people to watch his videos, and honestly, I think once Twitter catches on that the flagging was fraudulent, they're going to start getting pretty sick of your brigading bullshit. Like he said himself in his latest video quoting Tyrion Lannister, when you tear out a man's tongue, you're not proving him wrong. You're only showing the world that you fear what he has to say. So that's why I smile a little bit inside every time I see this sort of tactic used. Because whatever gains are made on their side, whatever victories they claim, they don't realize that it pushes people away from them. The ends justify the means. I've said it before, this argument is about image. So long as we toe the line, stay true to our values, and support those calling for a fair fight, we won't have to worry about losing. All we have to do is draw attention to these tactics. They're winning the battle for us on our behalf without even realizing it. They're pretending to be the good guys and probably honestly believe they're the good guys, at the same time using underhanded tactics. That's why it's important that we do not. For every underhanded tactic that someone who is pro-Gamergate uses, it pushes people to support the anti-Gamergate side. Anita Sarkeesian allegedly called for a feminist army to fight a culture war on her behalf. While these claims are, as I understand things, anecdotal at best, it does lead one to infer that it was her supporters who enacted this campaign against Thunderfoot. Let me be clear about this. This is not a culture war. This isn't a war of any sort. This is a mass consumer advocacy group standing their ground. This is a group of people who disagree with a minority who is attempting to call the shots in an industry in which they are personally invested. A minority. From what I can see in my various online social circles, and the people I know in the real world, there are more people supporting GamerGate than the opposite. Many people are fence sitters. Most are ambivalent. I want to stress, however, that if somebody is a fence sitter, it does not make them against GamerGate. It simply means that they're not invested enough. I saw a Twitter exchange the other day where people were harassing someone whose only crime was that they stated their neutrality on the subject of GamerGate. And now, guys, I can't stress this enough. Let them be. People are allowed to make their own decisions. We cannot and must not be the ones who force them to take a side. And just because they don't stand with us does not mean they stand against us. Pressuring them will only push people away from the movement. You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, and you can't get blood from a stone. So what do we do? To be honest, I think keeping consistent with our values and demands is the best course of action. To those on Twitter, keep the hashtag alive. Consider your talents, and if you have talents that would lend to the cause, consider doing just that. Are you good with Photoshop? Create infographics, awareness posters, flyers. Print some out and put them on public bulletin boards in your local area, but be sure not to spam them around. Moreover, do not move the goalpost. Issues dealing with Sarkeesian and Quinn are not our focus. I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't be addressed or refuted respectfully, but that should not be the focus. They're distractions. Keep emailing advertisers, keep sleuthing around. Be consistent, be factual. Don't start unfounded rumors. Feel free to share your theories, but don't for a second automatically assume them to be factual unless you have evidence. Support those who have come out in support of GamerGate, but be wary of people attempting to co-opt the movement into something political in nature. Although I'm probably butchering his name because I have never actually heard it spoken, Milo Yiannopoulos has been backing the movement greatly. Although I don't necessarily agree with his political stance, he has been a strong supporter of getting to the meat of it. The point of this is that, to me, GamerGate has no political stance. It is apolitical by definition, joining people together of a great many different political ideologies, from conservative to liberal, from feminist to MRA, from Christian to atheist. The people of the GamerGate movement come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and lines of thinking, and that is actually beautiful to me. A strong testament to human nature in our ability to see past our individual differences to support a common cause. In this case, the cause we all support is a gaming culture, which we won't allow to suffer through a character assassination. Although we might argue on other matters, in this we are fairly unified. We need to keep that unity and keep politics out of the discussion, something that those opposing GamerGate don't seem to understand. In closing, I also want to say that numbers don't lie. Alexa ratings on several of the offending websites opposed to GamerGate have proven that we're making an impact. The fact that some advertisers have pulled support means that we're making an impact. We need to continue this. We need to commit to becoming more organized, more cohesive, and we need to adopt a set of standards decided upon by the whole and move forward in an organized fashion. So I beg of you to answer the question. Keeping in mind to include consistency, personal responsibility, and the understanding that we should be policing ourselves, what are these standards? How best do we go about this? I want to hear from you guys. Anyway, that's about it for today's episode, guys. As always, my name is EJ Spurl, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with another episode.